Yo, what is going on? PartTimerZack here. In today's video, I wanted to do more Punishing Gray Raven and kind of go into a little bit more detailed version of the Selector and show some gameplay and some overall mechanics for each one of the characters that you can actually select from the Selector. But before we go ahead and jump into that, make sure to give the video a thumbs up if you guys are enjoying the content, as well as subbing to the channel if you are new to the channel. So we just hit 1K, so thank you guys so much for the continued support around the channel and the game. So anyway, guys, let's go ahead and jump into it. Now, I don't have a particular order. I'm just kind of going in the order that I have the videos downloaded and the images downloaded. So let's go ahead and talk first and foremost about each one of these characters, going with her as the first one, Katarina. So I'm going to talk about her core passive as well as her signature move, and then I'm going to show a little bit of a gameplay of what that actually looks like and go in from there. So her core passive is a once in combat gains an additional 3% of thermal energy per skill level. Thermal energy can be gained by performing 3 pings, and signature moves becomes enhanced after the thermal energy reaching 50%, gains additional effects and fire DMG, which is damage bonus from signal orbs and basic attacks. When enhanced, loses 5% of thermal energy per second. So a little bit of a mouthful, but there's quite a bit of stuff going on with her core passive. And then her signature move is consumes 100 energy, which is all the energy, shoots a laser at the ground by fire DMG and leaves a path of fire for 5 seconds after finishing the move. All enemies in the path take fire damage. So there is a little bit of an underlining thing that a lot of people kind of don't really kind of know, and that is each unit has sort of a energy kind of to them, and she has a fire energy, and we'll talk about some energies of some different characters. And when you actually pair her with another fire, you can actually get a little bit of a bonus, and that becomes a little bit more prevalent as you get into the game and isn't necessarily something right off the bat. And so I wouldn't really take it in consideration right off the bat unless you're really wanting to get an optimal team for endgame. But that's just something I really felt that I wanted to mention before going into it. So here I have a little bit of each one. So red, blue, and yellow orbs. If you guys want to take a moment to read that, definitely do so. I'm going to go ahead and show the gameplay of it because honestly, I'm more of a visual learner than I am reading everything. So let's go ahead and pull this down from YouTube. I did get this from YouTube because I was going to use Twitter, and then I realized, wow, it does not look very good on Twitter. But unfortunately, it doesn't really look that good here either. But let's go ahead and see what we can get. So the different aspects of her are actually really cool. So as you can kind of see, it will go here in a minute of each one of the pings and kind of what they look like on the actual game. So she is an attacker. She has quite a bit of stuff going on with her. As you can see, she just does quite a bit of damage. And this is actually her signature move here, in case you guys are wondering. Huge laser, does quite a bit of damage, obviously, if you're able to get that core passive off. But as you can definitely tell from just the little short gameplay there, that she is devastating and she's such a good unit. And honestly, like, I just kind of want to make a PSA, a little bit of a disclaimer, I guess. Either one of these characters or any of these characters are going to be something that you're going to really enjoy. So I honestly really recommend kind of looking at each of the characters and kind of picking based on how you kind of feel about them. Because at the end of the day, it is a PvE game and you're not really competing with anybody. So honestly, I can make recommendations and tell you, which I will. But I also want to kind of give you a little bit of a disclaimer that I would also go for the units that you kind of vibe with, or you really like their combat in some way or another. So the next unit we're going to be talking about is Lee, and I actually want to start with this one first. So his core passive is Space Lord. After any 3 ping is consuming the next red orb, will carry out consecutive shots that deal physical damage. So he's more of a physical damage, as you can kind of tell once we get into his gameplay. His signature move is consuming 100 energy, calls in fire support from long range energy cannons, dealing physical damage. So he's actually really cool as well, and one of those units that, like I said in the other video, he will fall off to alpha because alpha will be eventually coming to the game. We kind of speculate in a month or so. So he kind of runs in the same kind of race as she does, and unfortunately she does a little bit better in a lot of the aspects that Lee does, and so she kind of beats him in some marginal things like that. So honestly, this is one of the units, if you really like the gameplay, I would definitely recommend kind of checking out, but just keep in the back of your mind that there is another unit coming on her own banner eventually that will be kind of beating her out. And then we'll also be looking at this as well. If you guys want to take a second to kind of look at it, I will zoom in a little bit. Like I said, I'm a visual learner, so I will be pulling down his gameplay as well and showing you kind of that. I was hoping this would go on loop. Here we go. And so, like I said, he's actually really cool. He has some of the coolest loops and some of the coolest gameplay that I've seen out of a lot of these characters, because he just looks like flashy. He just has a lot of flashy stuff, as you can kind of see. And his signature move is actually really cool. So I think it'll actually play here in a couple seconds. Here's it. Yep. So this is, I don't know, I just think it's kind of cool. Like, it might be kind of simple to a lot of people, but honestly, overall, I think this game is just so visually like pleasing to the eye. But overall, like I said, it really is up to you and who you really want to pick. But Lee is one of those ones where he's just flashy. If you want a character that does a cool bunch of stuff and you really want to feel engaged, Lee is one of the characters I definitely kind of check out and recommend checking out. Alrighty guys, so the next one I want to talk about is Liv. So she is actually a really good healer, but she does have a B variant to her that you get at the very beginning of the game, and you get her for free. So I just wanted to kind of make that as a disclaimer. If you're looking to kind of get her, honestly, you do get the B version of her, and she does pretty good in helping you some different aspects. Obviously the S version is going to be a little bit better, but that's just something to keep in mind whenever you're going to choose your units. But let's go ahead and talk about her core passive. So core passive has a 20% chance to trigger light penalty that deals physical damage when hitting a marked target or marked enemy. After a 3 ping or triggering 5 times of light penalty, heals allies based on Law Phoenix attack. And then her signature move here is consumes 100 energy to deploy a wide range energy field and carries out light penalty that deals physical damage at random enemies in the area. Physical damage resistance of party members are increased by 75%. So you can tell that she's definitely a really good unit as well in order to kind of help you support your team and get you going for heals. Alrighty guys, so I will give you a moment just to kind of look over this if you guys want. Again, I will be showing the video here of her and kind of showcasing what she kind of looks like in gameplay. So kind of go over her and kind of see what she's got going on. So she's actually a really interesting character for support. She's got 2 big old guns right next to her, just dealing quite a bit of damage. And like I said, she's just a really good healer and really helps out with the support, especially when she goes into her ultimate here. As you can see, it helps you out with resistance and some stuff like that. So like I said, she does have a B variant to her. So unfortunately, I feel like she's one of the less ones that I would actually choose, mainly just because you do get that B variant. But again, this is kind of up to you guys and deciding who you kind of want. And I do recommend kind of playing with the B variant just to make sure that that's somebody that you feel is okay for your team. Let's go ahead and move on to Cam. So Cam is one of those units that I feel is going to be, you know, a top of the top. A lot of people are going to go for him. He has dark energy to him, which is rather, I wouldn't say rare, but at the very beginning, it's something that you kind of want to get ahead of. And so getting him is kind of a good thing, especially for a lot of people who are looking for tanks. Let's go ahead and talk about his core passive here. So core passive, gain extra 10 energy from a 3 ping, which is actually kind of a big thing. And then physical damage or physical resistance and dark resistance increased when in dark form. So he actually has a different form and he can do quite a bit of damage from that form. So he's kind of like a hybrid between a tank and an attacker. He's mainly a tank, obviously, but when he goes into that different form, he has some different things that you can kind of start to see that do quite a bit of damage. So let's talk about his signature move here. So enters dark form when energy is more than 60. So as you can kind of see, he can do it at 60 instead of that 100. Transforms all skill forms and gains super armor. Consumes 8 energy per second when in dark form. The mode ends when energy is used up. Dark damage increases when in dark form. So he has kind of a cool thing when it comes to his signature. As you can tell, it doesn't do like direct energy or direct attack. It seems to be kind of like this form that he can kind of go into that buffs him up a little bit and it gives him a little bit of armor. So let's go ahead and see what that looks like when we actually jump into the gameplay, because it's very interesting. So I really like him because I love his sword. I'm a sucker for people with like huge swords like that for some reason. You know, think of like Cloud from Final Fantasy. I don't know. I just have a thing for having characters like that on my team. So honestly, he's probably going to be the one that I actually go for, mainly because he's really good at the end game and just having the dark tank like this is a cool thing. So he doesn't change much, but as you can see, he has that super armor and he's just doing like a barrage of attacks. So it's just so cool to kind of see some of the different aspects of this game, and I'm really excited to see some of the characters and go into it. Like I said, you can't really pick a bad character, honestly, and especially after looking at all this gameplay, everybody has their own unique aspects, and I just kind of want to reiterate that this is a PvE game, so it's really up to kind of what you want to do and what you kind of want to see for your play style and go from there. Obviously, there are better choices than others when it comes to like end game and stuff like that. And this is definitely one of the units you're going to want to be looking for eventually. This is definitely the unit that I feel like I'm going to get. Of course, I'm going to definitely do my summons first to get my guaranteed S. And if I do get Cam, I will be picking somebody else. And I'll talk about that here in a second, who I'm actually going to be picking, because she's actually coming up here in a couple seconds. But if I don't get, like if I get anybody but Cam, then I'm going to be picking Cam for my S selector. And that's just kind of the way it's going to go. Obviously, you can copy what I'm doing or you can kind of fill it out for yourself. But let's go ahead and dive into the next character here. Alrighty guys, so let's go ahead and talk about Anonymity here. She enters an overclocking mode after performing a signature move. Basic attacks will deal fire damage and reduces fire resistance of the target for 8 seconds. So as you can see, she definitely would be good with somebody like Katarina. And a lot of people actually go for one or the other or go for both when it comes to getting your guaranteed S from the summons. Maybe if you get Katarina from your summons, a lot of people will be kind of opted into going for the S selector for Anonymity because they do make a good team right off the get-go. Honestly, if I'm affronted with that, I might might actually do that because having a fire team at the beginning is really kind of strong. But honestly, I feel like I'm going to go with Cam just for the fact that he has that dark energy. But let's go ahead and talk about her signature move here. She does a charge at the target and deals fire damage to the enemies in her path. So let's go ahead and jump into this real quick in case you guys want to see what's going on with her red, blue, and yellow orb. This is what it's kind of looking like. And then we'll jump into the gameplay here. Let me pull this down for you guys, and we'll actually see what she's doing for some gameplay. So she's a kind of a really interesting character, honestly. I feel like she's a cool tank, and it goes into some cool things when it comes to her like healies. That's kind of what I call them, because I think she's an interesting character. She's kind of one of the characters that has the most mobility, or at least it looks like it anyway. I'm not necessarily sure if she gets any speed bonuses, but it definitely looks like quite a bit of stuff. Let me roll back a little bit because this is actually her signature move. As you can see, she kind of gears up and goes for it. I really like her overall. And honestly, I just wouldn't feel like she's a bad pick, especially if you got somebody like a Katarina and going into some different fire moves like that. But overall, I gotta say, like I said at the very beginning, it's really just up to kind of what you want to do and what you kind of want to see throughout the game. And like I said, there obviously are some characters that are a little bit better in some different ways. But ultimately, it just comes up to what you kind of want to do and what you're really looking for in the game and what you're trying to get out of it. If you're trying to be like the best and you're trying to get through a lot of different things, then obviously you want to go for the most optimal characters. But if you're just looking to have a kind of a fun time and go through some story elements, honestly, you could do it with any of the characters and you're going to be just fine kind of going through some stuff, because you do get a couple of different free characters at the very beginning and you're going to be able to pull throughout the series. So just make sure to take that into consideration when kind of going through it. Again, just to reaffirm, my pick is probably going to be Cam unless I can get the duo here, the fire unit. But anyway, guys, that's going to do it for me. If you guys want to check out the Discord, there will be a link down in the description below. But anyway, guys, I will see you in the next one. Have a good rest of your night, guys. Peace.